All right, yo, what's going on? It's your boy Knock Rio coming live from Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro. And today I'm going to go live again. I kind of liked what I did yesterday and it was kind of cool. So I figured I'd go live again today. I'll probably do this a lot. It's probably a little bit easier for me than doing video editing and then uploading it and all that stuff. This is probably a better setup for me. What I think I'm going to do, I'm going to move this screen, this OBS screen over here. And that way I can kind of have it in front of me so my eyes I don't have to turn my head away from the camera so much to actually see what's going on. I got to keep track of the mic and make sure that the mic is on because, with my hotkeys, sometimes for whatever reason, the mic gets turned off. And so I don't want you guys not to be able to hear me. So this is cool. I like going live. It's like trying to be on camera just a little bit more. I never liked even taking pictures or being on camera, but there's a young guy who, boy, I forget what his name is. I think he goes by JB, and he said you could be on camera ugly for free. You're going to be ugly for free, so why not just be on camera when you can get paid? So not getting paid yet, but we're here, we're working, and that's what we're working towards. So I want to grow the subscribership, so subscribe to the channel if you can. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment or whatever. I don't care. I will react and comment back or talk back with you. I'm very interactive when it comes to online and social media, but I don't have a lot of followers or a lot of people who like to interact with me for whatever reason. So if you don't like me, all right, whatever. But anyway, let's work on this beat that I was working on last night. I'm gonna jump in here and just it's pretty much done. I was looking for a horn or something to add on one of the other parts. I may find it, I may not. Maybe I'll jump into arcade because their sounds tend to be kind of real. If I can find some kind of horn, that might enhance the sound that I'm looking for. That's cool. And then I don't know, maybe we'll do some arrangement. I don't know what'll happen, but the way I have my system set up here is now when I mute this mic here, which is my snowball, it will unmute my DAW. And so if it's unmuting my DAW at the same time, that's good because then you're not getting the feedback. Yesterday I noticed that it was playing not only the DAW music, but it was catching that same music in the microphone, so it's kind of sounded double at some point in time, and so that's not what we want. So I don't really have a solution that works other than that. I just have to kind of improvise right now with what I got. So let's play the beat. Let's kind of see where the levels are, and let's kind of work on this a little bit. I think yesterday I found out I could turn the level up just a little bit more on the beat. I know my vocal was a little high, so I'm going to drop my mic a little bit here. Drop the mic about 3 dB, bring the music up about 3 dB, and then let's go from there. So I'm going to mute myself here in and out when I'm talking, then I'll unmute and I'll tell you kind of what I'm doing and what's going on. You guys, if you enjoy the content and you like it or whatever, be interactive with me. Who knows? I'm trying to do some major things here. Hopefully there's some major things coming down the pipeline for me to get involved with, and you never know. You just got to network, and you got to kind of talk to people and be interactive with people in order for opportunities to come. So let's get right in. Let's play the beat. Kind of where I'm mixed at right now. I'm going to duplicate one of the channels here and just see if I can get a horn sound that works. So from now I won't be talking a whole lot. Let's just work. Okay, so one thing that I am noticing is that my performance here, let me switch to this screen so you can see, but you can see my performance is peaked out here, which is crazy. um, because, I'm not running a whole lot here. I've got the virtual mixer on, I've got some stuff going on with a few effects and things, but I'm not running a whole lot. I think the OBS software, it's recording and then it's streaming as well, so it's causing an issue for me. So that's just a little bit crazy, but we'll try to work with it and see what we get. So what I'm gonna do in this instance is I'm gonna go ahead and freeze the VSTs. And what that does, it should save us some performance. Um, just for these particular purposes, I typically don't do that, but that's what we're gonna have to do here. Um, I like having the MIDI there so that we can manipulate it later and that type of thing. It just makes it really easy to manipulate. So I think at this point in time, though, for these purposes, what I'm going to do is go ahead and freeze all of the VSTs except for maybe the one that I want to work with, and we'll just work with audio at this point. That should help us out and get us some performance value here. So let's see. Let's take this. Let's freeze this one as well. What the freeze does is it takes your MIDI and converts it into audio, and then it freezes the VST, which frees up some of your CPU, and it's going to free up some memory maybe. So that kind of helps you if you get in a situation where you can't play the beat or something's wrong with the beat because it's okay, hold on one second here. Because it's using too much CPU, but I still see my performance is way up here in the sky here, and that's not really what I want. You can kind of see it here. I'm pointing to it here on the screen. It's just hitting those reds, and I typically don't see that. Let's do this. Let's see if we can get it to play now. So that sound right there is the one that I want to find a horn to kind of match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click here, duplicate the track. I'm going to duplicate the events in the track as well. Let's see here. See, this is what I don't like is I was playing the DAW input, but you guys couldn't hear that because I had to mute the other mic. So let's do this. One other thing that I need to do is to add a send to my master and send the audio out to 9 and 10 so I get my loop back so that you guys can hear it. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's kind of the sound that I was looking to add. I wanted something a little bit more authentic, though. Didn't quite turn out to be exactly what I wanted. Um, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna reopen this because for some reason my drums didn't open in MPC Beats. But this is kind of what the sound that I wanted. I like more authentic sounding instruments, but with VSTs, it's really kind of hard to get that sometimes. It's not always easy to kind of do. So we do the best that we can. Maybe later on I'll look in Arcade or something and see if there is a horn that actually has a little bit more nuance to it, a little bit of the real vibe of a real trumpet. But right now the VST will do because it's just what we have to work with. It's what's kind of making it work right now. So that's the beauty of MIDI is you can always go back and you can change the instruments out, try new instruments and things, and preserve the track itself. So that's what I like about working in MIDI. And I froze these tracks, and so I've got some audio going on there right now, but I definitely prefer to work in MIDI when it comes to the instruments because we can just switch them out if we need to. If we find something better, we can switch it out. But I think my MPC Beats opened up here. Let me see. Let me go over here. Yeah, my MPC Beats opened up as well. So now we can begin we can hear the beat as well. Hopefully the drums are still there. I don't know what happened to them. If they're not, then we have to do new drums. But let's see. All right, so I don't know what happened, but the drums are missing. I want to look at something really quickly and see if there's a saved file anywhere. Okay, where did it go here? Keyboard files. Interesting, it's not here. Okay. I see. Okay, so there is a saved copy file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this one out. We could save it like it is, and then so what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this out and open that saved file from last night and see if the drums are in there because it just kind of disappeared on me here. I don't know why the drums didn't come back in that file. But we've got this autosave copy from last night at 6 p.m. Maybe the drums are still in that one. So I do run like a save every so many clicks or whatever. It's like every 10 or 20 clicks or changes that I make. I have it set up in Cakewalk to actually save, autosave. And that's saved me a few times. So we'll see if we've still got the drums. If not, then we've got to do new drums today. That's okay. We can always go back and do that. Kind of remember what it was, but they were very particular the way that these drums were set up. So, we'll have to see if this turns out for us or not. So, let's see. Let's click on this MPC Beats. It's there. No drums. Okay, that's something totally different. All right, so it's not really working out. So the way that I want it, I guess what I'll have to do is I'll just have to do the drums over again. We'll figure that out. And, that kind of sucks because those drums were actually pretty special for exactly what I was trying to do. But what are you going to do? Let's see here. So I may end this live. It's been fun. But it's just, of course, when you go live, everything doesn't want to work the way that it should. But that's the whole process here, is just learning how to get things to work. Just working with them to see what happens. Maybe I'll keep it going. Who knows? I'll keep the live going for right now. If I don't like it, I'll delete it. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to mute, and then I'm just going to see if I can find these drums that I was working with yesterday. I think I kind of know what I was working with. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so obviously the first thing I'm going to do right now is save this. Typically when I save here in Cakewalk, it saves the MPC beats um, information because it's a VST. So, if I'm saving in Cakewalk, I just quickly hit save there and it saves all the settings. So last night when I left here, it was fine, but I don't know what happened. It just didn't, maybe I didn't save it or something. I don't know, but I was able to recreate the drums really quickly just now. So let's take a listen and let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna take a look at these channels here. It looks like all of the effects, all of the sends and everything are still there. Um, but then maybe they're a little out of order right now because I probably didn't do the drums in the same order that I did last night. And they probably broke out onto different channels. So I just need to really kind of just listen to see what's there and then set up the sends for where these things need to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to look for my console view. And that's going to appear over here. And I'm just going to work with this and get the sends and everything to where I want them to be. You know, I did have, I think, was going to the drum track for the, to the preview track, which I probably should just name drums. Okay, so what I was saying, I don't know what happened. I muted myself or whatever, but I'm sending my drums to this bus track. It's got the Lala on it already, and so we're gonna use that as our side bus for our drums. Kind of brings the drums forward a little bit louder, thickens them up a little bit. So I like that. So um, you can see what my process is for that. The drums, since I just redid them, they're probably in a different place than where they were last night. They're probably just not in the same order that they were in. So I'm going to have to work with that and get that squared away. And just kind of reposition them a little bit so that they fit in the right spot. Looks like the faders are all up and stuff like that, so maybe not. We'll just figure it out as we go here. So I'm going to mute myself, and then we're going to play this, and we're going to make sure that we're good here. So let's go. Oh, come on. All right, so all all's well that ends well, right? So we had some glitches in the beginning. What I did, I use this, what you can see here on the screen. Let me throw that back on the screen for you here. I use Slate's mix virtual mix rack. It's kind of a new toy for me. My uncle, when he came here, he brought me an ML1 microphone. So I needed the mix rack anyway for the ML1 microphone so that I can use the microphone emulations. And so I started fiddling with that, and I saw this mix rack, and I'm like, oh, this is dope. They've got like preset like strips already in there. So I happened to throw it on a track one night and just turned up the EQ, and I was like, oh, like, I just heard something I hadn't heard. So you guys probably could really tell the difference when I added it back in on this track. I think you guys could really hear the difference, and it's not only louder, but it just seems to bring some clarity when you throw the EQ on, and that's something that I seem like I've always missed in my mixes forever. So this is a really cool tool. I pay for a subscription or whatever. I think I pay like $10 a month for it or whatever. I got some stuff with the Slate ML1 that came with that microphone. So I don't know. I'll just keep paying the $10 if it's going to sound good. So there's a bunch of different strips that you can use, but this one I fell into a liking of. I think this is the mix bus strip. So they've got other ones in there. This one I just happened to tweak it really easily with the EQ knobs here, just turning up kind of my mids and a bit of my highs there. Bump this up around the 4K mark. I think it's on 4K here, and then over here I think it's around 800 hertz or so, and we bump up there. There's a little bump down here around the 100 mark, which is where your kick drum is going to be. Typically, the transient's going to be about 125 or so. So that's kind of where I bump up there. And then I just kind of play with the knobs or whatever sounds good. But I also keep an eye on this last one here, this trimmer on the end, because then I can trim it off because it does get kind of loud. You see it going in the red a little bit. And so I do trim that off so that it doesn't stay in the red. Just keep my eye on the meter a little bit. So this is a great tool. Now, after this, because it is loud, I mean, you want to turn it up. You want to boost some of those highs and those mids and stuff to kind of bring your track out a little bit, especially bass heavy tracks like the hip hop tracks. It's like I love the bass, but I've got to have my highs and mids because there's my energy, right? I mean, bass is energy, but then the song will sound dull if you don't boost those mids. So I kind of boost all of that a little bit, just give it a little bit of sheen, but it gets a little hot, in the master. So I'll throw on the God particle behind it because the God particle can limit everything so it's not clipping. So I can kind of turn this back a little bit using my trimmer knob right here. I can turn that back a little bit and then use the God particle to kind of even bring it out just a little bit more and to limit it as well so that it's not pushing over into the red. So that's kind of my process on it. But when I throw the God particle on, it's very CPU intensive. So, you can hear what happened to my system. As soon as I turn it on, it's like, it just went crazy. So I really kind of haven't decided what I'm going to do yet with that because I like the God particle. Maybe I do my mixes, use this virtual mix rack, just make sure it's not clipping or whatever, bring it down a little bit, maybe 3 dBs or whatever, somewhere between 6 and 3 dBs down, and then I can put it in mix bus or something and throw the God particle on the end of that process or whatever. I don't know. But I like it, but it's just really CPU intensive. I think I have to upgrade this computer at some point. Just because I can't have that, and it's crazy to me because, when I built my studio in Orlando back in the early 2000s, computer chips, the CPUs and the memory and stuff that we were using, that's 20-year-old technology. And I seemed like I was able to do a lot more in my sessions than I'm able to do now with, I have an i7. I have an i7. It's like an i7 2600 or something CPU, 3.4 gigahertz or something like that, with 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I don't really remember what. Maybe I was running maybe 32 or something. I forget how many gigabytes of RAM I was running back then, but that was like 20 years ago. So, but my question for me is like, okay, maybe I wasn't running as much VSTs because VSTs definitely were not in the place that they are today. So we weren't doing a lot of VSTs. I was doing a lot of stuff through my MPC and stuff, tracking it in audio. So maybe this computer has enough audio power if I track everything in audio. You can see when I froze the VSTs and it changed everything over to audio. In that process, everything was cool. It brought the performance down. So I think it's the VSTs that are drawing a lot of CPU, and it runs fine. But then what I noticed when I pulled up the meter, I would see like these CPU spikes. The computer's doing something in the background, and there's this spike, and that's when you get that crunching noise, and it just slows down, and everything sounds crazy. So I don't know. I don't know really what the solution is just yet. Maybe it's upgrading the motherboard, CPU, and the RAM. Maybe going to a 32 or 64 gigabyte machine as far as RAM goes, and then maybe upgrading the CPU to a higher i7. The thing is that I'm here in Brazil, so it's a little bit harder, and it's about twice as expensive as it is in the United States to get those chips and things. Like it's very difficult, and it's very expensive here. Not super expensive, but I mean, we can do it. But what I'm saying is it's just more than what you would pay in the United States for that type of level, chips and things. So I've got to kind of be right when we make the decision about what to do. I got to be right about what we're doing. Maybe we upgrade across the board, the CPU, motherboard, and the RAM. Maybe that puts us in the right place. But I can see where that might be necessary to be done. We're in the business, so we got to invest. So we got to do what we got to do. But it's just odd to me that back then I was able to do so much. I mean, I worked with Cakewalk, same DAW, basically, old version of it, 20-year-old version of it. And I was doing 55, 60 tracks in a session, because I'd have rap groups that came in, and I had every single thing, every vocal, every ad-lib, everything, all their ad-libs or whatever that they're doing and things, and it was Southern hip-hop, so they're doubling and triple stacking their lead vocal and everything. So we'd have like 60 tracks in a session, just so I can control everything separately, and just put effects on everything and automate separately, and computers ran flawlessly. So I don't know why now it's like it's struggling. I would think that the chips and the RAM and everything is like way faster now, but doesn't seem like it. So it makes me question, like, okay, what are these companies really doing? Because I'm like, is it really getting faster, or is it the tools that I'm using have gotten really strong too? Because the VSTs are definitely a lot stronger than they used to be. So is it that the VSTs just are outstripping the CPUs a little bit, or did I buy, not just a great CPU? I probably didn't get the greatest CPU ever, and maybe the RAM is not the greatest either, and I don't have enough maybe, but it seems like CPU. It definitely feels like CPU. So I'm gonna check into that. Maybe we just try to see if we can upgrade those two things. And then I think we'll be in business. I just don't want clients coming here or working with people that are going to be important coming in, and then things don't work the way that they should. That's never good in a studio. So I don't have a lot of people coming here yet. It's just a production studio or whatever. But when I get into some more real productions and things like that, I don't want glitches. I don't want problems. I want smooth, stable running system. I've got things that crash right now, and particularly my native instrument effects crash my system. The VSTs work fine, but the VST effects, all of them crash my system. I reinstalled all of them. They worked for one day. The next day they were crashing the system again. So I can't use them. But I've got a ton of effects. I don't need them, but I've got a ton of effects. But if I'm running a session, I don't want to hear anything except my music. That I'm working on, or the client's voice. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear glitches. I don't want to hear stutters. I don't want to hear none of that. That's just the way. I don't want anything distracting or taking my mind off of the project that we're working on. So stability in your system is going to be really important. If you're just starting out or you've been doing this for a while, that stability is going to be extremely important. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here today. I'm not going to hold you too much or whatever. Like I said, all is well that ends well. We had some issues, but that's part of being an engineer. You figure out what the issues are. You try to find a workaround or whatever. You keep going. So it's kind of good that this happens on a live, because then you can see it. You can see what are the stresses that they go through, as an engineer. And this is why artists, you need to respect your engineers as well. And you need to respect those people who are putting your music together, because they fighting demons. We fighting demons. So we've always got something popping up that's taking our attention away, and we've got to solve this problem so we can get back to the work. And maybe you don't even know that they solved the problem, but they did, or something happened and they're resolving these issues. So respect your engineers, respect the people who are putting your music together, because sometimes they're saving your behind and you don't even know they're saving your behind. They're like playing Superman and rushing to the scene and saving the situation. And, if you treat them bad, then, that's not cool, because they're really working hard for you. So once again, I'm going to get out of here. It's your boy Knock Rio coming live from Copacabana. Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll be live again tomorrow. Who knows? I'm just going to do it a lot. So, if you catch me on live, catch me, subscribe to me, hit the like button if you can. We got to get the subscribers up so that we can make this whole thing work, So, once again, it's your boy Knock Rio. I'm out. Peace.